What's going on? This is part 2 of the RedCat Racing Earthquake 3.5. So, I'll turn over here and I'll pick it up. Here it is. And like I said in the part 1 of this series, the next time you're going to see it, look at that. Dynamite, 0.28 big block motor. So a couple of things I had to do to get this to fit here. The stock clutch setup on the Earthquake with the 0.21 motor does not fit on this 0.28 Dynamite motor. What you're going to see is I will show you actually. I'll go get the original motor and I'll show everybody. But this motor takes just a standard low-C clutch nut. And the one on the 0.21, the original motor for this, it's actually a clutch nut, and then there's a stub shaft coming off the clutch nut that you put the clutch bell and the E-clip in, and that's what retains the clutch bell from coming off, so that will not work with this motor. So what I did is I ordered a 4-shoe clutch and clutch nut and a clutch bell, all from a low C8 Truggy. So right now, this has a 14-tooth clutch bell in it, and I'm just running the stock RedCat Earthquake transmission, the 2-speed transmission with the stock spur gear. I thought it performed very well with this setup the way it is now. What I did while I had it all apart is I broke open the rear diff and I put some 50K Traxxas diff fluid in there, because what I've noticed with a lot of these lower price point hobby grade budget RCs, they only come with a little bit of grease for lube inside the diff, so they really don't perform like a higher end truck would that actually has like a tuning setup with the diff fluid. So I put 50K in the rear. The front I left alone because I really wanted this thing to hook in the rear. But you'll look at the footage, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about with the performance of it. We ended up getting 5 more miles an hour out of the top speed, and that's with a 14-tooth clutch bell, because this thing originally came with a 15-tooth clutch bell. So I did buy, let me see if it's in this box over here. I'm so unorganized, bear with me. I did buy, you can see, this is an 18-tooth clutch bell from a low C8 Truggy that I'm going to try on here next, just to see if it does anything with the top speed. Being that this does have a 2-speed transmission, I don't know if this will affect the gearing putting an 18-tooth clutch bell in there. I've never really messed with something like that before. And then last thing I'm going to mention is I'm having an issue with the clutch shoes that I have in here now. It's most likely with the springs, because what's going on, we'll hear it. They're so locked up now you can't even hear it. But what's happening is the springs aren't fully collapsing after the vehicle comes to a complete stop, so it's leaving the clutch engaged and it's dragging, basically a dragging clutch like a dragging brake, and it's stalling the motor out. So that's something else I'm going to have to address. But it's a 4-shoe low C clutch that I'm only running 2 aluminum shoes on right now. So we'll look at the footage, we'll see what's going on, and then I'll let you know what I have in store for the next couple videos here. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching.
All right, here we go. let's put the lid on. I gotta take a look at the clutch. I think the clutch is hanging up, and every time I go to hit the brakes, it shuts the motor off. So right now, just another test run I'm gonna do. I'll take care of that problem later. I want to get a good speed test on it. So yeah, fire it back up and we'll see what happens. Got to turn the GPS on, and it shut off again. See, I got to figure this out. So like I said, I want to get this test run in, get a good speed test on it. It wouldn't be a nitro if it wasn't frustrating, you know? That's recording. Fire it back up. Much faster with this new motor, much faster. Go off-road. We're flying. That was 3/4 throttle right there. There you go. Full throttle, baby, full throttle. She's clipping. We're flying. This thing is fast. Yep, see, that's exactly what's happening. These clutch shoes are not retracting all the way, and that's what's hanging up and causing it to stall out. So we'll check some temperatures real quick. "38 miles an hour. So that was 5 mile an hour faster than the stock engine with the carburetor for this motor. 200 degrees on the cooling head. Whole motor's around 200 degrees. Yep. The dang clutch. And I don't know why it's doing that, but I marked my flywheel right here, and that marks so that I know that it's at bottom dead center, so that it can cool down. So we'll get it back in the shop and we'll take a look at it.
Alright guys, so here we are, we're back in my shop, and like I said, I wanted to show you what the crankshaft on this stock 0.21 motor actually looked like. And as you can see here, it's all thread. So what this setup uses is this flywheel spacer that goes over the collet, like so, if I put it on correctly. And then over the flywheel spacer goes the actual flywheel. And then over the flywheel, this is the clutch nut. And you can see it's got that tract in there, and that's to retain the E-clip. And this is the setup that goes on like this. And this is how the clutch bell actually rides on this crankshaft. So that 0.28 dynamite motor is completely different. I even tried to take this flywheel, and I actually tapped threads on the inside of this. Thought I was going to be slick and put it on that motor, but it just wouldn't tighten up. It was always going to be sloppy. This spaced the clutch out too far, and it was never going to work. So that's why I just ordered the low C clutch and flywheel setup. I knew it was going to work, saving me a whole lot of time. It was a little pricey, but this is something I really wanted to do. Something I really wanted to test out just to see how it was going to work. And like I said, it's working out okay, besides the fact that those clutch springs are staying ejected, if you would. So that's what's going on with this. What you can look forward to in the future here is I'm going to put this motor back in to that RedCat eventually, and I have this is the Lasseria, if that's how you pronounce it. It's made by HSP. It's a nitro short course style truck that I bought off of Banggood. But if you look here, this also has an SH 0.21 motor in it. So what I want to do is I want to take this carburetor, put it on this motor, and then put it back in the earthquake and see if that makes any difference. But I was looking at this motor, and this has a very similar clutch flywheel setup for that low C setup is on that 0.28 that I put in. So these are obviously two different crankshafts, but it's still the same block. So that shouldn't make any difference with the way it runs, should it? I don't think so. So that's why I want to take this carburetor, put it back on this motor, put everything back into the earthquake, and just see how it's going to perform. See if that has any difference between the two motors. They're the same brand, same exact motor. Just see if the carburetors are any different, because I mean, it was so drastic that it wasn't even enjoyable to run that truck. So that's what I'm going through all this with. So we'll see you on the next one. We'll see what I have in store. I got a couple other things from Banggood coming. A nitro little 12 scale, I think it was, or something like that. Truggy. It's got a .18 motor in it, I think. And I got a brushless boat coming. So stay tuned. See what I have coming. And I'll see you on the next one.